This is a very nuanced debate that I wanted to cover a while ago, but I just couldn't be bothered until now. Although the reason I didn't want to was because it really just comes down to the ooga booga primal urge of man to compare the Bleach and Narutoverses respectively. The last match I did was Hashirama vs Yamamoto, and go figure, I had the fire dude beat up the tree man. Not even that, because people only care about Naruto vs Ichigo, which I didn't want to be involved in at the time, because you know I'd get jumped in the comment section, so instead we're going over Ulquiorra Cifer, the edgy loner, versus Obito Uchiha AKA the guy with the questionable search history. I think this matchup also works since they both have empty hearts, literally. However, narratively, they're actually just suppressing their emotions. I'll split this up into 3 different matchups so I can handle this, the first being base Ulquiorra versus Orange Mask Obito. The second being Resurrection Ulquiorra versus White Mask Obito. The third being Segunda Etapa Ulquiorra versus Six Paths Obito. So before I get into the video, only 80% of you guys who watch my videos are subscribed to me, so don't forget to sub if you haven't already to stay updated on future videos. Okay, so the first thing I want to establish is if Obito can even see or interact with Ulquiorra. Because Ulquiorra as an Aranka is a spiritual being that normal human beings can't see or touch. Despite this, however, Obito isn't a normal human. Obviously, as a ninja he can interact with chakra despite it being made up of physical and spiritual energies. For example, Naruto could even tug his own soul from being pulled out by Nagato. Also, this video wouldn't even be entertaining if this wasn't the case. Like, what would even be the point if he couldn't see or interact with him? Like, come on guys. With that being said, let's get into the fight. Base form Ulquiorra versus Orange Mask Obito. In his introduction, Ulquiorra was clearly more advantaged than both Kisuke and Yoruichi while they protected Orihime, which hints at how powerful he was even at that point. Prior to Ichigo's final fight with Grimmjow, base Ulquiorra completely overwhelmed Hollow Mask Bankai Ichigo, which is insane because Shikai Ichigo alone could destroy Vitaka, which is durable enough to tank the Sokyoku, which is a combination of 1 million Zanpakuto multiplied by several dozen times in executions. 1 dozen meaning 12 and several meaning 3, meaning Ichigo is 36 million times stronger than your average Soul Reaper at least. Since the average Soul Reaper like Edrad can do stuff like this, which is calculated to be the energy equivalent of destroying a town, imagine this multiplied by 36 million times. That would give Shikai Ichigo the energy equivalent of destroying an entire country. Now Ulquiorra overwhelmed Ichigo with both his Bankai and Shikai active. The Bankai provides a power up to combat ability anywhere between 5 and 10 times. Now the problem is Ichigo's Bankai goes entirely into speed, meaning we don't really know exactly how much power is increased, and Hollow Mask might provide a similar increase but it's hard to say. Meaning Ulquiorra could easily be up characters who could blow up countries but is likely even more powerful than this. Base Ulquiorra should be faster than base Aranjero since he's ranked above him. Aranjero was faster than Sunlight and he had to be narratively so he could avoid being burnt by sunlight since he kind of is like a vampire. So is Orange Mask Obito capable of combating this base form Ulquiorra? Well, he should be stronger than he was 15 years ago when he fought against Minato, who considered him so dangerous to the point of telling Naruto that he's a formidable shinobi and that he'd need extraordinary strength to have any chance of defeating him. Potentially Naruto had to tame Kuruma's power in order to beat him. However, this was probably based on the fact that Minato believed that the masked man was Madara, so I would take all of that with a grain of salt. As one of the strongest members of Akatsuki, who are all meant to be these hardened warriors that are capable of rivaling Biju, Obito should be as strong as a Biju. Biju are capable of destroying nations and vaporizing countries, which can be seen from space, so Obito should be rivaling Ulquiorra in power, if not even be stronger than him. Obito was also able to keep up with Hokage Minato, who is significantly faster than Raikage. Yes, the Raikage, the man who's meant to be able to move at light speeds, as said by the databook and proven when he throws a punch while moving at such a speed in a light speed transfer done by Mabui. So Obito has an advantage in both power and speed, but then we get to hacks. While Ulquiorra does have some interesting abilities, I think Obito blows him completely out of the water in this department with his 5 minutes of intangibility. Paired with his chains, he can also trap Ulquiorra in Kamui, well the Kamui dimension. However, Ulquiorra has access to Discora, a technique used by Aranka to open a portal to the Garaganta, which allows him to travel to any of the Bleach realms. If that was the case, he'll just leave and the fight would end in a draw since they're not interacting with each other and aren't able to rejoin the fight. Or technically, I guess it would have just been Ulquiorra who's left the playing field. Maybe Obito just wins by default. But if not, I feel then Obito would have an easier time dealing with Ulquiorra if they were to just scrap than the other way around. especially considering that Obito could use his high level genjutsu to manipulate him, kind of like Aizen does to the other captains. Obito even managed to capture and control Yagura, who's a perfect Jinchuriki, who should be able to resist genjutsu, yet Obito was able to control him for years on end, so I'd lean towards Obito taking this first round pretty comfortably if I'm being honest. Now for round 2, Resurrection Ulquiorra vs Rinnegan Obito. Ulquiorra transforms into his resurrection state, which is meant to be comparable to a Bankai, which multiplies your combat ability by 5 to 10 times. I don't think we should automatically assume that is by exactly 10 times since it's meant to be within that range. And like I said before, we can't say that the stats move up linearly. Like if he gets 5 times faster, that doesn't necessarily mean that he also gets 5 times stronger. And the reason I'm saying that is because every Bankai works differently and increases different things depending on the user. If we're being completely fair, Ulquiorra is getting a very large increase in both power and speed, so it's pretty reasonable to assume that he's at least large country level when using the resurrection, and also a few times faster than the speed of light now. He's also his spotted number 4, which is pretty important in figuring out how strong he is exactly. This is because Notoria claims that the number defines your strength, which is further elaborated in the data books. The Sparta members are ranked by Aizen according to your spiritual pressure. The lower your number, the stronger you are technically. This is because a higher spiritual pressure allows for more power, durability and speed, meaning Ulquiorra is technically the 4th strongest out of 10. Well, actually he's 5th since Yami is actually number 0, but Ulquiorra should still technically be stronger than the likes of Notora and Grimmjow. I think Ulquiorra's powers are now stronger or comparable to Orange Mask Obito's. However, going into the War Arc, if we're talking about White Mask Obito, he takes one of Madara's Rinnegan from Nagato to become stronger and faster. Gaining a Rinnegan is actually a pretty big deal within the Narutoverse, since Madara went from getting beat up by the Biju collectively to knocking them all out at the same time with one shot. So he should be back in front of Ulquiorra with his Rinnegan and be able to beat him, especially considering that Obito has control of 7 of the Biju, who are all individually capable of destroying entire countries. White Mask Obito can now also consistently overpower KCM2 Naruto and beat down the 8-Tails with his ninjutsu, so it's all pretty consistent. The same Kurama who is said to be able to destroy the planet and turn the world to ash, according to both the anime and data books respectively. Depending on how you interpret this could mean societal destruction, life wiping or planet destruction, so keep all of that in mind since it could just be hyperbolic. However, Ulquiorra also has access to the Zero Oscuras, which are 10 times stronger than his normal Zeros, meaning that he could possibly nuke continents at that point. Is powerful enough to even probably kill Obito if it lands on him, so Obito would have to be careful, but he should technically be able to phase through them. And if that's the case, he should probably take round 2 as well, having that power and speed advantage and definitely the hacks advantage. Now moving on to the 3rd and final round, Segunda Etapa Ulquiorra vs 6 Paths Obito. Starting with Ulquiorra, he states he's the only ranker among the Espada who's capable of reaching the 2nd state of the resurrection. Ulquiorra is now stronger than his Espada rank now, because Aizen didn't even know about his Segunda Etapa, which is likely just another resurrection level amp on top of his first resurrection, meaning he's possibly around 5 to 10 times greater in combat ability than he was before in his resurrection state. In this form, Orodyu describes Ulquiorra's Ryatsu as a vast ocean of energy, stronger than anything he's ever sensed or encountered before, so destroying continents should easily be within his range now, if not far greater. Take his javelin-like weapon that he can create using his spiritual power called the Lanza del Relámpago. When thrown, it produces this incredibly destructive explosion on impact, which dwarfs the fortress of Las Noches in height. In fact, it's calculated to have produced the energy equivalent of destroying multiple continents, dwarfing anything White Mask Obito can do with his power or speed. Although Ulquiorra has difficulty controlling its trajectory, he can use the Lanzas in rapid succession, meaning he could do some serious damage to the planet, and we do see him eventually kill Ichigo in this form, which forces him to revive and achieve his perfect qualification called the Vasto Lorde. Ichigo can now crush the Lanza, meaning just as durable as that attack, meaning he's multi-continent level, yet Ulquiorra can cut through Ichigo's horn, meaning that he can physically compete at Vasto Lorde's level. If you want to be more generous, Vasto Lorde in the Hellverse movie is said to be capable of destroying the world, so if you take that hyper literally, this could mean that just like Kurama, he's planet level, although both of these statements could be hyperbolic, like I said earlier. But the question is, can this power overwhelm 6 Paths Obito, since that's who he will be fighting in this round? Well, Obito, as we all know, absorbed the 10 Tails to become his Jinchuriki, therefore gaining its immense chakra. In his first form alone, the 10 Tails was causing cataclysms that ravaged the planet, This was calculated to produce the energy equivalent of destroying multiple continents. In his second form, his chakra was so immense, it was actually warping the water sphere and became small planet-sized. It even gained greater power in his third form. At first, Obito was struggling to maintain his power, but eventually he managed to regain control and focus for Ten-Tail's power. He's clearly super fast now, as he can blitz the Senju brothers and outclass Kurama mode Naruto, who now has a Sage mode power stacked on top of this. I think Sage mode gives roughly around a 10 times multiplier to certain stats, since it's meant to be like the improved or better version of a second state of a curse mark, meaning just like the Bankai, I think it's pretty hard to quantify exactly what stats it increases and how it increases them. So I think Obito is just as quick as Ulquiorra, if not faster, definitely around that speed. However, Obito's most powerful attack should be equivalent to Ulquiorra's Lanza, if not stronger, since Obito can now use the Sword of Nunabuko, something Obito claimed that Hagoromo used to create the planet. Despite this information or this lore being incorrect, Obito was under the impression it was true. He even felt that he had the power to use his sword to destroy the world, which isn't that far-fetched considering what the Ten-Tail's prior power actually was, as stated before. So if the Sword of Nunabuko collided with the Lanza, then Ulquiorra would probably get smoked. If I'm being honest, there's no way he's surviving that. So Ulquiorra would have to keep his distance and span the Lanza afar in the hopes that Obito just dies and he can win that way. But the problem is Obito has this very high level of regeneration as a Ten-Tail's Jinchuriki, which includes some of the Kyuubi's chakra, definitely greater than the amount that One-Tail's Naruto had back in part 1 as a kid, yet he could still regenerate organs like his lung, and also recover from holes in his body. Now this isn't even fair because technically Ulquiorra would have better regeneration, in which he can regrow limbs almost instantaneously. I think the only way Obito can actually get around this regeneration is through some of his abilities. Yes, I know technically now he's lost the Kamui, but now he also has Truth Seeker Orbs, which just like Particle Release, he can destroy things near an atomic level and erases the soul. Hence the Edo Tenseis just can't heal anymore. Despite Ulquiorra being a spiritual being, there's no way he can survive the orbs. And the thing is, Obito can even reshape the orb into any shape to protect himself or attack Ulquiorra. So Obito should win the final round as well, if I'm being completely honest, due to his overwhelming power, speed and abilities. Even if you think they're statistically around the same level, I think Obito just has the better abilities. And I think if you give him enough time, he should be able to use his Kamui abilities as well, since he does technically have his Kamui. It's just he can't use it, since Madara could use the Kamui abilities despite being in 6 paths form as well. We do know Obito gets even stronger later on when he gets both his Kamui and also still has some 6 paths power. This is the strongest he's ever been. He's capable of reacting to Kaguya's Ash Bones, and I think he should be give or take as strong as Double Mangekyo Sharingan Kakashi's, because he's basically the same person and should have the same abilities. And if you think that is the case, then he absolutely smokes Ulquiorra. If not, then it's a little bit ambiguous and we don't know where he scales exactly. I mean, at this point we're gonna have to use Ulquiorra Cifer from a 3rd anniversary of a Brave Souls game, but at this point it's kind of out of hand, and I don't really want to talk about hypotheticals and uncanon characters. Anyway, ultimately I do think Obito is stronger than Ulquiorra, but if you disagree, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below respectfully, please. What am I even expecting? You guys are bloody weebs, so I don't even expect you to be respectful. Do you guys even know what the meaning of respect even is? No offense. Anyway, I'm just joking. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want to see more exciting videos and like the video. Make sure you don't miss out on any of my future content, and to do that you have to hit the bell icon. Thank you for your support and peace out.